Grant Mastery, Unlocking Funding Success for the Public Safety Market. We're going to cover the following. What do you want? Why do you want it? How can you achieve it? And then I'm going to ask this room to take what I like to call, say, a call to action, to take action on getting this funding. And so let's start off with, what do you want? Now, I have agencies in this room, and I have businesses in this room. And so talking to the agency side, what I find they want is they want to add more value to their community than ever before. They want a consistent funding stream or funding for solutions that serve the community. And they want to solve problems that exist in the community. Public safety businesses, what they want is they want to add more value to the public safety market. They want more leads from their marketing campaigns. They want a more accurate pipeline to grow the business. They want more sales. So I'm going to tie this all in together. We work in a very interesting community, in a very interesting market. I love this market. I love the public safety market. I've been in this market for over 20 years. But what makes it unique is this. It's the way this market buys solutions is not the way we buy solutions in our life. So to give you an example, I recently bought a couch. So before I bought the couch, I went into the furniture store with a price in mind, what I could afford, either monthly or buying it outright. And then I looked for couches. And I found the couch and I bought it. Now, this market does it the opposite. They need to find the solution first. Once they identify the solution, then they have to go find the money, which is why it takes a long time to get sales done. And that's why it's tough to have an accurate sales pipeline. And, then the other problem is budgets. Majority of budgets go to payroll and gasoline, which makes it difficult. So, to give you an example, here are the problems that keep those solutions from being reality. One is that budget issue. 90 to 98% of all budgets go to payroll and gasoline. 2 to 10% of that budget is left over for equipment, software, training, services, and sometimes capital expenditures. So as a business, we're all fighting for that 2 to 10%. And as an end user, you have a laundry list of items. Sometimes you have 15, 20, 30 items on your list of what you'd like to buy, but you can only get approvals for 1 or 2 of them because that's all the budget can afford. Huge problem in our market. The next problem I see is elected officials want to say in what public safety agencies want to purchase. And I had a great example of that yesterday. So I was talking to a department in Texas that wanted to buy decon sprayers and solution for their vehicles and their buildings. And I asked him, I said, okay, what has to happen for you to buy? Well, I have to get the chief to sign off on it. Okay. Does the chief know about the project? No. I'm gathering info now and then I'm going to present to the chief. I said, okay, great. If the chief signs off on it, does that mean it's green lighted? No. Okay. What else has to happen? The chief has to present to city council. Okay. And why? He goes, because city council needs to approve us moving forward on a purchase, may it be through a grant or through budget. Okay. I've seen this commonly happen more and more since 2010. So it's not going away. In fact, it'll probably get more prevalent. So if you haven't experienced it yet, it's probably coming to your neighborhood. Now, if you're a business, the problems you have is your sales process is long. See elected officials. The average purchasing sales process is 6 months to 2 years. And that's for projects that cost 4 figures or more. It's a long time. And part of the reason is elected officials are going to vote 5 to 7 times on average before making that purchase. Approving the pursuit of the project, approving the submittal of a grant, approving the acceptance of the award, approving the funding to be accepted into the city or county, the approval of putting it out to bid, approving the bid being awarded, approving cutting the PO. 5 to 7 times on average. It's a lot of times, and they don't meet every day. They meet monthly. So that's 5 to 7 months. You know, the other problem businesses experience is conversations. Businesses want to have as many conversations with the end user market as they possibly can. The problem is the market they sell to doesn't have money. So a lot of times they have the best solution for that customer, but that customer won't talk to them because there's no money. And I have a formula I've created, which is end users plus needs minus funding equal less conversations. If you're a business and you know where there's money for what you sell, and you promote your solution with funding sources, your conversations will grow exponentially because you'll get agencies that are saying to themselves, well, if they can help me get money, I really would like to have that because I don't have money. So realize the value in understanding where there's grants for what you sell is massive. Selling to a market that doesn't know when it'll have the funding creates material and supply chain issues. How do you efficiently run a business when you're selling to a market that never knows when they're going to have money? It's very, very difficult. You don't know when to buy materials. You don't know when to stock. You don't know when and how to get distributors to stock because nobody knows when they're going to get money. So we have to figure out ways to solve it. We have to think outside the box. And the way you do it is 3 ways: psychology, strategies, and a grant writing mindset. So let's talk about psychology. So when it comes to psychology, the big picture here is this. Number 1, goal setting. If you're a business or if you're an agency, you need to learn how to set goals. Define the goals and break them down into what I call SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Specific. What do you want? I want to get X, Y, and Z for my agency. Business. What do you want? I want to sell X amount of product. Measurable. How do you know you're hitting your goals? You have to be able to measure. If you can't measure it, you can't measure these goals. So the goals have to be measurable. Achievable. You can't expect to get everything under the sun if you don't have needs for everything under the sun. So as an agency, you have to have achievable projects that fit your community. If you're a business and you've sold $1 million a year, you're not going to go to $100 million a year in 12 months. So it has to be achievable. Relevant. It has to be relevant to the market you serve, and it has to be relevant to the community you serve. And then time bound. You have to have weekly to monthly measurements of time of what you're going to do to get these goals done. This is going to give you a framework for the efforts. Planning and organization. Develop a well-structured plan, and organizing your tasks and resources effectively is going to enhance your productivity and efficiency. So you want to make sure that you have a plan. Fail to plan to fail. You need to write out a plan, a script. It can tie into your goals. It can be part of your steps to achieve your goals. Time management, prioritizing tasks, managing distractions, allocating time properly to different activities is going to help you progress toward the goals. So one of the biggest pushbacks I get from agencies in this market of public safety is, I have no time. I don't know where I'm going to get the time. I can't find the time. There's no time to do this. I get it. You did not become a cop or a fireman to be a grant writer. It's come with the job. So with that being true, you have to learn how to manage time. And as a business, I'm selling, I'm marketing, I'm BDing, I'm growing this company. I don't have time to become a grant expert. I get it. When I started my business, I thought that I would teach businesses how to do this and they would run with it. Some do, most don't. So I had to rebuild my business to be an outsourced service, to work alongside the sales and the marketing and the BD teams and work with their customers on helping them maneuver through the grant process. So how do you find time if you have to do it yourself? So if you're an agency, form a team of 1, 2, 3, 5 people, and set aside 10 to 15 minutes a day, every day, to do something to pursue a project. Maybe it's fill out part of an application. Maybe it's write a couple sentences or a paragraph of your justification paper of why this project needs to happen. May it be making phone calls to grantors. You have to set aside time. Leverage outside people to help with the time if you can. You know, that could be people such as local school. That could be your spouses that don't work at the department that maybe will take it on to help. Think outside the box. But time management's key. If you do that type of time management, I guarantee you in a matter of weeks, you'll be able to submit your first grant. And then the next grant you submit will take half the time, because you'll be able to reuse all the work you did on grant A for grant B. So let's now talk about grants. So what I want to do is go over grants that are most popular. And the grants that I see are the most popular right now. I'm going to talk about law enforcement, then we're going to talk about DHS, and then we're going to talk about fire. And the DHS grants are for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're 911, doesn't matter if you're a coroner's office, doesn't matter if you're EMS, emergency management, fire service, law enforcement, or public health. Even if you're a school district or a hospital, you can tap into these grants. First one's Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, also known as the Byrne Grant, also known as the JAG Grant. It is a formula grant, very loosely, population and crime rates. It is the primary provider for the federal criminal justice funding for state and local jurisdictions. It's used for hiring, training, equipment, and crime prevention programs, to say the least. Very competitive, because it's not difficult to get the money. It's more difficult how that money is going to be spent. So you have to, in essence, sell your project to your leadership of your department of why it's important. It's a great grant, but a very competitive grant internally. Then you have the COPS grant. COPS grant is various grant programs that support community policing efforts, also involved for hiring, implementing strategies, purchasing equipment that support the strategies, enhancing your technology infrastructure. Then there's the Violence Against Women Formula Grant, provides funding for prevention programs or responding to incidences against women, victim services, training law enforcement how to handle those situations, prevention programs. These are all grants that are really popular in the law enforcement side. And if you're not familiar with them, screen capture this page. I don't give out the presentation, but this is one of those pages people like to capture the screen. So I'll take about 5-10 seconds and I'll move on to the next screen. So that way, if you want to capture it, you can. All right, let's go on to the next one. All right, these are DHS grants, the Homeland Security Grant, UASC Grant, Emergency Management Grant. Homeland Security Grant Program is actually 3 grants, and one of them is UASI, the other one is State Homeland Security Grant, and the other one is Operation Stone Garden. It's about $1.2 billion. It's been pretty much steady at that amount for the past few years. It's about funding projects for acts of terrorism, other potential man-made or natural hazards. It could be climate change, it could be tornadoes, earthquakes, hurricanes, wildland fires. The Homeland Security Grant Program breaks it down into the big cities, which is UASI, and then the State Homeland Security Program, which is everybody else that's not part of the UASI. UASI is approximately 25 of the most populated regions in the country. Regions like Chicago, Philadelphia, DC, LA, San Diego, as examples. Then you have the Emergency Management Performance Grant. That grant is to assist state, local, tribal, and territorial governments in enhancing their emergency management capabilities and preparedness for all hazards. Now, a couple misconceptions about the DHS grants. One of them is they're based on agency. They are not. They are based on products and projects. So how do you know if the product or the project is a fit for those grants? You need to get more familiar with FEMA's Authorized Equipment List, or AEL. So if you Google FEMA AEL, it'll be one of the first things that comes up. You click on the link, and it'll take you to the page where the AEL is. You can either use a drop-down menu, or you can download the most current CSV file. And then from there, you can look up products. What FEMA's Authorized Equipment List does is it connects those products with DHS grants. So if you're looking for body armor, or if you're looking for SCBAs, you can see a connection to what DHS grants fit. So you might be a police department and you're looking for funding for a product, and it might say that you can apply for the Emergency Management Performance Grant because FEMA has decided that product can be bought with that grant money. So you need to get familiar with that. So I recommend you get more familiar with it. At the end of the presentation, you're going to have all my contact info. If you have any questions ever about the Authorized Equipment List, contact me. I'll be happy to answer them. I'll be happy to set up a Zoom meeting and guide you through the whole process. Now, if you're a fire department, you're probably very familiar with the Assistance to Firefighters Grant, or AFG. You can buy firefighting equipment. You could buy EMS equipment. You could buy fire prevention programs as well. The AFG program, it's about $400 to $450 million every year. It's a good sized grant. It's competitive. 1 out of 5 on average get funded. So you have to be prepared to really put a strong case together. Now, I love the grants on this page and the previous page, but what I'm going to show you next are my favorite grants and why they are, and ones that if you're not targeting, you need to start targeting. And the first one is ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act. ARPA was started in the spring of 2020. They gave $350 billion with a B to state and local municipalities. All these municipalities had to do was fill out a form. The form very basically said what's your population, what's your poverty levels, and what's the stability of your homes. So to give you an example, if you had 100,000 people living in your community, you probably received $25 to $30 million. It's a good amount of money. I mean, we just talked about AFG, 400 million to 450 for the whole country. 30 million, 100,000 people. Big, big opportunity. Other thing I like about ARPA is you don't have to fill out a specific, I shouldn't say you don't always have to fill out a big application and justification paper. Some parts of the country they're asking for it, but most of the time it's a conversation, because that money typically has been given to one of the following people in your community: your county commissioner, your county finance director, or your county emergency management director. If you're a big city, it would have went to your city manager, your city finance department, or your city emergency management agency. But most people don't have those in their city, so it goes to the county. So how do you get this money? How do you figure out a way to get a piece of this money that's sitting there? Because it's been sitting there since 2020. Half of it was spent by the end of 2022. The other half was spent by the end of 2024. So how do you get this money? It's a conversation. So you're going to pick up the phone. You're going to call one or all three of those organizations I mentioned earlier, introduce yourself, ask or explain that you're looking to, acquire a portion of the American Rescue Plan Act funds for your project. Our project is this. It's going to do this for our community. It's going to save time. It's going to save money. It's going to reduce liability. It's going to save lives, or a combination of those. The reason we want to implement this plan is this is the problem we have. And this is how big the problem we have. This is how we plan on implementing this plan. This is how much it's going to cost. What has to happen for us to be able to, get some of this money for this project? And then listen to the answer. Here's the answer you're going to get. The answer you're going to get is the money's been allocated. And allocated is okay. It's not a bad answer. Doesn't mean you're doomed. Doesn't mean you're not going to get the money. What it means is they have projects and they've earmarked money for those projects. Here's the good news. They typically overestimate the cost of the project, so that way they don't have a shortfall. So we were working on a project in Tennessee for area scene lighting, and this agency called up and talked about ARPA funds, and they found out that there was no money available. And specifically for the fire department, they were going to get $1 million for a fire truck they wanted to buy. Well, my customer, the end users for my customer, was instructed to say, okay, great. I want to make sure I stay in contact with you in case things change. When's a good time to follow up? I want to be persistent, but I don't want to be pushy. So the organization said, you know what? Follow up X amount of time. So it was like monthly, I believe. So they followed up every month. What they ended up finding out was that $1 million fire truck project ended up only costing $916,000. There was $84,000 left over. More than enough money for area scene lighting. So they were able to get their lighting through ARPA funds. That's the type of relationship, because there's going to be gap money, GAP, money that's in between the allocated projects and or leftover money after the projects have been completed. So stay in contact. Don't be pushy, be persistent, be polite, ask them when you could follow up with them, when they recommend. And I guarantee you, over the next 2 years, money's going to open up. Don't want you to have to wait 2 years, but it's a plan. Again, you want to have as many plans as you possibly can when it comes to getting money. So let's talk about the next area. And the next area I'm a huge fan of, and that is private money through community foundations. Excuse me. Almost had to sneeze. Excuse me. I did have to sneeze. Okay. So community foundations work like private equity firms. And what they do is they raise money within a geographical area. Urban area, highly congested with people. They might have a community foundation for 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 counties. Rural area, very spread out. They might have a community foundation for 20, 30, 40, 50 counties. These foundations raise money from the businesses and individuals that live there, and they grow these funds, which they call assets. And they have these assets, they have investments. They have to, by law, give away 5% of their total assets every year. They have to give it back to the community for enhancement, development, improvement projects. So 5% doesn't sound like a lot of money. Here's the catch though. There is 75 to 100 billion dollars of community foundation money nationwide. That means they have to give away anywhere from 3.75 to $5 billion a year. It's a lot of money. Remember, we're getting excited about AFG if we're a fire service, and that's 400 to 450 million dollars. Talking about almost 4 to 5 billion. We get excited about DHS, which is 1.2 billion, and this is 3 to 4 times bigger than it. So when it comes to community foundation money, how do you tap into it? First thing you do is you got to know how to find your community foundation. So if you're an agency in this room, all you do is you type in your city, your county, and community foundation and hit enter, and it'll come up within the first couple spots. And when you click on it, it'll take you to the homepage. You want to go to their grant section, and you want to look and see what grants are currently available. They might have 1 to 5, they might have 30 different grants going because they have a lot of different revenue streams. Community foundations create multiple revenue streams, and you might fit into one of them. If you're not sure, you want to pick up the phone and have a conversation with that grantor at that foundation, whoever runs the grant department. And you want to find, you want to explain who you are, what you do, explain your project, and ask them, is there a certain revenue funding stream we fit into? If you don't fit into a funding stream, here's the good news. If they like your program, if they like your project, they'll actually go out and raise money for you. And they'll raise the money and write you a check. So community foundations are long-term relationships. I want you to go back to them year after year after year after year. Build a long-term relationship with them to increase your chances of getting funding. Not today, but today, tomorrow, and the next day. Here's the other thing I like about these foundations. It's 1/10 of the work that an AFG grant or a DHS grant requires you to do. 1/10. So if you're a business, this should get you excited. We now know about a funding pool 4 times as big as DHS and 10 times as big as AFG. Next, manufacturing. Manufacturing companies like ConocoPhillips or General Motors or Georgia Pacific, they will fund projects for public safety if they have a plant in their community. Why would they do this? One, they're a soft target. They have certain things on their facilities that would create a problem if they're stolen or explode. Two, they have a community investment development improvement section on their website where they give back to communities. 3, their customers live in the community, and 4, their workers probably live in the community. They are huge fans of giving back to where they do business. If you're an agency, you need to build relationships with them. If you're a business, you need to understand how your solution fits into them. Public-private charities, the best well-known one, Gary Sinise Foundation, Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump. He consistently gives funds to 5 six-figure projects for public safety every year. Very simple application and justification paper. Public safety foundations. If you're an agency on this call and you have a foundation, great, leverage it. If you don't, find citizens in your community that would be willing to start one. They can go out and raise money. They can go to those companies and get money. They can go to those charities and get money. They can go to those community foundations and get money, and then they can either write you a check or they can buy the assets from the manufacturer and give you the assets. If you need help starting one, contact us. We can get you in contact with people that can coach you how to build and start a public safety foundation. I see more and more of them being established, but there's a big gap there. Service companies, Firehouse Subs, MetLife, State Farm, Target, Walmart. These are organizations that also will fund projects for public safety. They are all about either funding first responder projects or funding specific projects for types of agencies. But these organizations, for the same reasons those manufacturers, will fund projects in your backyard. Take a screen capture of this, do Google and learn more about those businesses. But I'm telling you, there is more money than in your backyard than you ever imagined. That would make it to where maybe you never have to apply for federal funding again if you play your cards right and get money every year. So let's talk about the mindset of the grant writer. So this is the mindset you need to have when it comes to writing grants. And if you're a business, you need to understand this mindset because you need to coach these customers on it if you don't have the ability to hire a coach. So first is clarity of purpose. Clearly define your goals, your objectives, and the purpose of your public safety project. Articulate why it's important and how it's going to address a specific need or problem within the community. A clear and compelling vision can enhance your grant application. Your grant application needs to have goals that are crystal clear. You need to show the purpose, the why, and the why is your problem and quantifying that problem. And the how it's solved is the project, but it has to be clearly understood. Persuasive communication. Develop strong written and verbal communication skills to effectively convey your project merits. Craft a persuasive narrative that highlights the significance of your public safety initiative, its potential impact, and the benefits it's going to bring the community. What's the value the community is going to take from this project being implemented? What's the impact? How will it solve the problems? What is the significance of this initiative? What makes it needed? The communication skills have to be crystal clear, strong written and verbal. Research and data analysis. Conduct thorough research to support your project proposal. Relevant data, statistics, evidence demonstrate the need for your public safety project and its potential effectiveness. A well-informed and evidence-based approach increases your credibility and enhances your chances of securing funding. Data is huge to a grantor. Remember, a grantor's not done your job before. So the better you can convey how your project's going to solve a problem is give them the data of the problem. And if you can, give them the data of what the solution will bring. Stakeholder engagement. Engage with stakeholders likely to be impacted by or have an interest in the project. Collaborate with community members, local organizations, government agencies, and potential funders to build relationships, gain support, and gather endorsements. Demonstrate broad community involvement and support can strengthen your grant application. You need to have conversations with your community, the businesses, the organizations, your neighbors. Explain to them, share with them what's going on and what you're looking to do to solve the problem. They can support it by going to city government. Businesses can support it by going to city government, but also writing checks. I worked on a project with a lieutenant that received 80% of the funding he needed by just talking to businesses about the project. They loved the project so much they funded it. You might never have to write a grant if you build those types of relationships with the local business owners and the local businesses in the community. Grant writing skills. Develop strong grant writing skills to effectively convey your project details, goals, and expected outcomes. Understand the specific requirements of the grant application and tailor your proposal accordingly. Clearly articulate your public safety project's budget, implementation plan, evaluation strategies, and sustainability measures. So I know a lot of you didn't get into what you do to be a grant writer. And I know that plates are full, and throwing this on your plate might make it even more difficult. So here's the strategy I recommend. 1, ask yourself the following questions. What's the problem in my community? How big of a problem is it? How can I quantify this problem? What's my project and how will it save time, save money, reduce liability, save lives? How will I implement this project? And record your answers and transcribe them. Then take your transcription and leverage a program like Grammarly to tighten up your grammar. A lot of us have an easier time talking about what we need than we do writing it out. Some people are good at writing. Most people I talk to are better at communicating it verbally. But that's ways you can develop your skills. Also, take what you've written after transcribing it, leverage it with AI. Maybe the AI can tighten it up for you. Maybe it can elaborate and go more details. Now, don't take what AI says and submit it on your behalf. You're going to want to take what AI written and then put your voice into it. So you're going to want to alter it or change it or add things to it, or maybe take things away that don't make sense and then check the grammar again. But these are ways you can leverage different resources to help you with your writing. Or talk to your local schools and see if maybe the English department can use it as a project. Maybe the local English department at your high school or a college or university. Leverage the resources around you for those grant writing skills. Emotional intelligence. Understand and navigate the emotions and motivations of individuals involved in the grant application process. Develop empathy, active listening skills, and the ability to build rapport with grant reviewers and funders and decision makers. Emotional intelligence can help you effectively communicate, address concerns, and build relationships during application. Emotional intelligence. You need to build rapport with the grantors. Have conversations with them. Ask them what they need from you that will best leverage their time to approve your grant. The better you communicate with them about what you need to share with them and what they need to see from you, the better chance you're going to get the project funded. So talk to them. Don't just blindly fill out an application and fill out a narrative or write a narrative and submit it. That's what the federal government has trained you to think to do. What you need to realize is grants are about relationships. They're about solving problems in your backyard. And they're about rapport. And you're about building a bond where you can go back to them year after year after year. Last but not least, resilience and persistence. The grant application process can be challenging and competitive. Maintain a resilient mindset, stay persistent, learn from setbacks or rejections. Use feedback from previous applications to improve future proposals. Adapt and refine the approaches needed, ensuring you remain committed to your public safety project's goals. Understand, you're not going to be successful right out of the box. If you're expecting to be 100%, you're going to be sorely mistaken. Even the best grant writers are usually 70 to 80% effective. Realize, playing the long game. Rapport with grant writer or grantors means you're going to get feedback that's going to add value. Maybe they decline you. Reach out to them. Say, hey, we got declined. I get it. No worries. Help me understand. What can I do better next time? How can I improve on what I'm doing? Realize rejection is going to come, and don't stop. Just because you get told no doesn't mean the project's not fundable. It just means at that moment in time, they weren't going to fund it for whatever reason. If you've written an application or justification paper before and you're not sure what happened to it, send it to us. At the end, you're going to have all my contact info. Send it to me. My team and I will look it over and we'll give you advice on what we would do differently. There's always a way if you're committed. And realize the more no's you get, the closer to the yeses you're going to be. So I'm a believer that you never leave a site without taking some form of action. So this is my call to action to everybody in this room. May you be an end user or a business. One, decide to act. Make a decision that you're going to learn about grants. Maybe you're going to learn about grants to improve your company. Maybe you're going to learn about grants to help your agency. Improve your company means better at marketing, better at sales, better at business development, helping these customers figure out how to get money, turn these customers into raving fans. If you're an agency, you want to keep people safe, your team, your community, you want to be able to optimize your capabilities, whatever it is, decide to act. Know your outcome. What do you want? Get clear. Clarity is power. What do you want? And then know your why. Why do you want it? Do you want it? And your why should be 5 times as big as your outcome. So what do I mean? If you have one outcome, you should have 5 reasons why. The drive is always in the why. Why is 80% of a goal. How is 20%? Why do you need it? I need this. We need to get this funded because of this. I need to understand where there's grants for my product offering because of this. Know your why. Take massive action. Start a funding division or team. Master the grant funding game. Start a team at if you're a business, get sales, marketing, BD all involved. 1 or 2 people from each of that team. Make it a team, a collective team, and learn where is there federal money for my widget? Where is there state money for my widget? Where is there private money for my widget? If you're an agency, get some people together amongst your agency or multiple agencies if you want. Where is there money for, where are there grants for my city? Where are there grants for my county? Where are there grants for my state? Where are there grants for my city for police? Where are there grants for my county for fire? Whatever your agency is, figure out, let's build yourself a list of places you can consistently go to. So that way, when you have a project, you're not like, okay, now we got to figure out where the money is. No, now we got a project. Now we got to go call these people that we know support us. So if you can't take the time to build it out, invest in it. Buy high quality grant info. We are one of the few organizations that sells grant information specific to your city, county, region, and state, or specific to the equipment, software, and training that you provide. So if you're a business, we can tell you where funding is for your equipment, your software, your training. If you're an agency, we can tell you where there's a funding for your city, county, region, or state. Hire a consultant, a strategist, or a coach that understands the public safety grant process. Find someone you have synergy with. Find someone you have rapport with. If you think that we would be a good fit for you, we would love to work with you. If you feel there's someone that might be better to work with, great. Find somebody you have that rapport and synergy with. Notice the results you're getting. You cannot manage what you don't measure. Always notice the results you're getting. And then change your approach if the results are not matching your outcome. Based on your assessment of your progress, you might need to work on beliefs, strategies, things like that. If you've hit a plateau and you can't get over the hump, that might be when you need to bring in a coach, a consultant to help your organization or your company figure out how to play this grant game better. So if you have any questions, this is the way you can get a hold of me. My phone number, this is my mobile, 630-877-3130. My email is masimor@dynamic-international.net. My website's there, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. This video will be available on that YouTube channel in about a week. We have all our past videos of our classes. We have our social media 2-minute posts on there as well. What I'd like to do now is open it up to questions. Thanks, Mark. If anyone has any questions, I will stay in here for another 5 minutes. Who does the same for Dart? Great question. Military, very difficult to get money through a grant just because they're kind of a direct conduit of the federal government. So I have tried working on projects that were multi-jurisdictional, where they had some component of federal, and legal always would step in at the federal level and say no. Yes, our grant experience does get involved with K through 12, absolutely, and universities, both. As long as the project is for a a nonprofit, a 501c3, or a government institution like a school, we can definitely help. Yeah, here's what I'll do, Don. I'm going to go back to that screen. Just capture the screen page. Stand by. Feel free to capture that screen there. I'll leave it up for 20 seconds. There we go. Thank you, Don. Appreciate it. Got 3 more minutes and 5 more people. Anyone have any questions that I can answer for you? And we're down to 4. Yes, definitely. I've done work in the forensic side of the market, so there's plenty of funding out there for that, for the CSI market. Absolutely. Russ, yeah, it's going to be available next week on our YouTube channel. Let me give you the link. There's the link. Check that back next Friday. It should be up by then. I'm going to send it over to my marketing person today. All right, going to close it up. Appreciate everyone's time. Take care and be safe.